wait a bit, as always. I think I have 70 followers on here, so that's pretty crazy. I don't know if that's gonna do anything for me. You know, Twitch affiliation wise. I'll start as usual at like 8:05, 8:04, something like that. So far it's saying no one's here, so I'm just talking to myself, which is fine. You know? But if you are here and watching, hello. Oh, hi. This is probably the last, or like at least I'm gonna have a hiatus for this class, mainly because I'm graduating and I have finals and I'm moving out of my apartment, and you know, I do want to give myself a little bit break. You know, I can't there's only so much content I can go over, and I would like to reformat this class in some way, shape or form. I don't know. But yeah. Wait a few more minutes. Hopefully everyone had a good 2 weeks since our last class. Was that on the 5th? Was it? No. Oh, no. It was in April. I don't even know. Time is relative. Time does not exist. And this class might be a little bit longer, only because I'm going over a lot of like bigger topics that we've gone over in the past. And I've redone a lot of the stuff that I've talked about with structure. Hello, welcome. At least this is a nice distraction, at least for tonight, because I wrote 3 pages of an essay for one of my classes, and it all disappeared because when my laptop doesn't charge, I have to like reset something in it, and so I have to like basically like restart it. And I'm dumb and didn't think that, you know, I thought I saved all my documents, or at least that they auto saved, like, you know, like it just like auto recovered. But no, all my other things saved, and then that one thing did not. That one essay did not. I had 3 pages, and the thing is, like, it's for an essay where I didn't really read the books, and I have checked my temp files. I've checked everything. I've checked like every nook and cranny on my computer, and I still feel like I should just be able to pop it open. I'm still a little bit like that. I'm in like denial that it's gone, you know. And it's like I didn't read the books for this essay, and so like I'm just like the part that I had was like me skimming through the book and finding quotes, and like I had like I was pretty okay with what I had written, and now I have to go through the book again and find these sections and rewrite it. Maybe it'd be better. I don't know. I'm not gonna work on it today or like tonight after this, because I'm still sad. I'll probably work on it tomorrow. Yeah. And I have, for this class, I have like 3 papers I have to do before the 18th on Tuesday. So, but it's whatever. I mean, most of my classes are done with anyways. I just have like a project for my theater design class, and then I have a final exam for another theater class, and then those 3 papers, which is, I mean, technically I didn't have to wait that long to do all those papers, but, you know, here I am. Anyway, what time is it? Okay, let's get started. Okay, so this is class 12 for writing for animation, and so this, well, technically, as I was saying before, is technically kind of the last one, but I will be trying to restart it, reboot it, whatever, sometime in June, depending on what I'm doing. I mean, I'm most likely just gonna be home for the summer, working my summer job, so I'll have a lot of time on my hands after work and stuff, and it's the kind of job where, you know, I'm like watching children and they just play, and then I'm on my laptop trying to make sure they're not like, you know, killing themselves, and and I'm also like doing whatever on my computer. So I'll have time to work on it at least. But I might restart it and kind of rework things. Maybe go over like pilot writing stuff for like if you want to do like TV animation and all that. And because I am doing, I am taking a TV pilot like foundational class online. So I'm planning on taking all the stuff I learned from there, which I've implemented some stuff in here about it, and especially this class with like structure and stuff. But in the future, I'd like to, you know, add more stuff and whatever. So yeah, so class 12, and it is. It's supposed to say part 2. It's the review to end all reviews part 2. I was all in caps, and then it still would have been, I don't even know. I just forgot to. I don't know. I worked on this yesterday, and I thought, oh, me doing it in advance, there's gonna be no typos. This is gonna be so much better than working on it the same day. Here I am with a typo. So on the menu for this evening is we're gonna talk about dialogue. We're gonna go over structure and a little bit about outlining. I'm still sucky at outlining. I'm still the thing is with outlining, it's very personal experience. Like, you know, it's whatever you like to do. And I don't do it as like I should. But I'll try to go over a little bit about it, as I have in the past. And then formatting a script. And so it might be a little bit longer because structure and formatting, explaining it, going over all the details kind of takes a long time. But hopefully we'll end by, 9:30 like usual. So dialogue. So here are just some tips on writing better dialogue. Most of, just for writing, the most important thing is just, learning from real life. I was on the train on the Amtrak going to DC, this weekend, and I was sitting in front of, it was this old lady who was either from, Jersey or from, Staten Island. I don't know. She had, a thick accent. And she was, old, at least, 70. And then, this younger guy. And they had just met on the train and they were just sitting with each other. They just sat next to each other. And they, this woman was just, telling her whole life story. I don't know. I was just listening along because I forgot my headphones and I was just sitting there doing nothing, and it was so interesting. And you can really I don't know, if you just listen to people and how they talk in real life and listen to people's stories, it's really helpful in writing any types of stories. Just finding with developing characters, with developing natural, real feeling, deep dialogue, and just I don't know, it adds more life. Stories are about life, even if it's made up. Add some life to it. So subtext is important. So you want to kind of layer what these characters are saying with multiple meanings or emotions because people rarely vocalize their inner thoughts and emotions to people. You're not gonna just like, I mean, in children's animation, especially with more like preschool, it's gonna be a little bit more like not as like deep, you know. Oh my god, yeah. No, this older lady that was behind us, like she was like, my grandchildren want me to move in with them, and I go, never, I'll never do it. I need my independence. And I went, oh my god, I love her. And I got to like when she left, and like the guy like helped her like because she wasn't scared of the trip, she was scared of the getting off and on because of the gap in between the train and the station or like the platform. And she like she was so afraid of it, and then the guy like helped her, and it was so sweet. I don't know, like it was just like I was like, oh my god. Like that was like what made my trip. I was like, oh my god. Anyways, yeah, people rarely, you know, say things clean cut. Maybe like in like preschool or like programming it might be a little bit different because like I guess you don't want to layer on too much like subtext for like that a 3-year-old that a 2-year-old can't really understand it, but like obviously even like they still like, I mean, children still understand subtext. They still understand like saying like I'm fine, but then the character being sad, obviously they know that character's not fine. Also, cut to the important stuff. There were like time like don't always say hi, hello, like don't like a character doesn't have to say okay all the time to like if a character is explaining something, like if it's not building on the plot or story or the universe, like or the character, like it isn't important and probably should be cut. Why I added universe was because why did I add it? Sorry, I had like a brain fart. It's because sometimes you get like dialogue that's just like characters in the background speaking, and then like that kind of fleshes out, like even if these characters aren't important to like the plot, the central plot in these characters, it still can like help flesh out the universe and make the world feel alive. Like people in the background speak, and that's important. And sometimes you can make it more important. Like they can be talking about the news, they could be talking about the area, and like any like events that's happening. But yeah, say your dialogue out loud. If it feels awkward to say in your own mouth, it's gonna be like it's awkwardly written, and whoever is meant to read this, like the voice actor, whatever, it's gonna be awkward for them too. That's it. Like I usually try to read out my stuff. Sometimes I don't because I don't want my roommates to hear me like talking to myself. But always at least read over it a few times. And also think of your character's voice. It can be really easy, like once you get a character's voice down, to write dialogue for them. Like when I was writing the Gravity Falls spec script that I never finished, I really could like hear these characters in my head, like especially like think like a Grunkle Stan kind of character who has such a distinct voice. It's like so easy to just like hear it in your head. So like think of characters like that. Even if you don't really know a distinct voice for your character, just like try to like, I don't know, try to explore different voices, and maybe it'll, I don't know, help like inspire you more and like make this character more fleshed out, and their dialogue more real. Show, don't tell. So like sometimes you don't need dialogue because like within like it's sometimes, I mean, we're working in a visual medium, so like you should probably show more than like just saying, oh look, there's a boat over there, or and then showing the boat. You could just show the boat and stuff like that. It's okay if your character doesn't speak a lot. It's okay if you're like, you don't have to say I'm sad when your character can just look sad or have like it's a way of expressing their sadness without dialogue. Also avoid, like, clunky exposition and backstory and dialogue. Like, don't just, like, say, like, paragraphs and paragraphs of, like, this is what our world is like, this is blah, blah, blah. It's not, especially in one big chunk, in, like, one big scene, like, that's not gonna, like, first of all, we never really, as people, say our own backstories, and, like, you know, like, we don't say, oh, I'm Jen, I'm from here, and I do this, and when I was blah, 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 I was blah, blah, blah. Like, we don't talk like that. We give bits and pieces of ourselves through different conversations, through different events and different, like, timings, blah, 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 with different people. And so it's just not natural to just say everything at once. And also beware of, like, cliches. Like, obviously, we as people do, we have cliches that we say. We have, you know, like, common phrases that we all kind of say. And so, obviously, don't always say them, but there are, like, avoid those movie moment, like, dialogue. Like, dialogue that you feel like has to happen because you're writing a script. And because you're writing something that might be similar to something you watched, or because it's something you've heard because it's in a movie, like, not because, like, that's always wrong, but, like, there are moments, like, I've read scripts before where it's just, like, these are movie moments, and these feel really, like, cookie cutter, like, this character doesn't need to say this, or it doesn't feel like they should, like, need, like, that they would say this, out of a context of a movie. So, was there anything else I was gonna say about dialogue? I had, like, a thought in my brain about it. Yeah, I think I got everything. Yeah. Yeah, like, avoid, like, saying, like, I have a bad feeling about this. Unless your character's, like, referencing something, I guess. If they're, like, if it's a joke. Like, but sometimes what, like, movie quotes are, oh my god, they're so overused as jokes. And, like, sometimes they can be funny, but sometimes it's just like, oh my god, we get it. Your character's a nerd and they watch movies, like, okay. Like, obviously in real life, you know, we quote stupid videos online, but, like, in the I don't know, like, just make sure you think about what real people are saying. Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. I watched City of Ghosts last night. I watched it all. And it's on Netflix. It's about, like, a group of, like, kids who, in, like, the LA area, they, track down ghosts and are, like, and they help the owners of these, like, houses or, like, places, to deal with these ghosts, or, like, to bring the ghosts out and, like, hear their stories, blah, blah, blah. But the dialogue within it, it's so, like, I don't know, like, it's such a cute show, and the dialogue in it is very, very natural, and it feels like it's literally just, like, they took real interviews and then animated over them, because, like, how they speak, they, like, stumble over words, or, like, how you hear me right now, I'll, like, think of a new word to, like, go over, or, to use instead, and they do that in their dialogue, and I don't know if it's, like, the actors doing that, if that's written in the script, but it's really, like, it's really cute, and how the characters speak are, like, I really liked it. Okay, on to structure. We went over structure before. I didn't like how I went over it. Because, honestly, back then, I wasn't as in tune with, like, act structures. And, like, I didn't really, like, I understood them, but, I wasn't really in tune with, like, other stories and how they, like, how each beat worked with it. I don't know if that makes sense. And then Tyler went over it in his class. He made it, like, he did a really good job. speaking about it. And then I'm taking this new TV writing class, so they also went over a structure, and now I feel pretty confident in talking about it. So this 3-act structure is like, the one that we all know about, beginning, middle, and end. But it's the foundation of all act structures and also the hero story. So you'll hear about other act structures like 4, 5. I guess those are really all like the 5-act. The 4-act. I've seen a 4-act before, but 5-act is the other one that's the most popular. And usually in TV, the act structures are based around like commercial points, so that's why like the 5-act kind of got like popular, was like because of like theater in the beginning. They like, obviously the biggest person that uses it 5-act is Shakespeare, but really like behind it all, it's just like beginning, middle, end. Sometimes they cut acts like at the midpoint, and then at the climax kind of thing. But the rough like mathematical sense of like how much each act is in a script and like in a story. So like act 1 would be 25% of your story, and then act 2 would be 50%. It's the meat and potatoes of your story. And act 3 is another 25%. And each act changes, like each act change, so like from plot point 1 to plot point 2 will be a turning point. And of course there's like a turning point here, and with like the climax and all that. But usually each act has like one big turning point. So in act 1, you have exposition. It's kind of like establishing normalcy of main characters. So like, I was just watching Schitt's Creek today. So in the pilot episode, in the first episode, the normalcy, like them establishing normalcy, even if they start kind of at the inciting incident almost, they establish it by showing the house that they live in and like the things that they used to own and that are being taken away from them. And then usually the inciting incident for a story in Act 1 happens between about page 5 to about page 10. Sometimes it goes over. It's not like a fixed point, but like usually what I've heard from like writers, directors, whatever, like usually when you're selling your script, you want the inciting incident to happen early, to grab not only like the people reading the script's attention, but also the future audiences. But sometimes they can like start on page 1, like basically that's what happens in Schitt's Creek, or with as I talk about like Amphibia, like basically it happens like like her inciting incident almost happens in the theme song, like the title basically, because we never see her come in from the real world to Amphibia. But like, so it would conclude on a turning point, as I said, for the character. So I also talk about Breaking Bad and the inciting incident for that, which was his cancer diagnosis. And then I wanted to like detail what a turning point would be. So like he has several ones in his story in the first episode. So like it'd be going on the drug bust, which would be the first kind of turning point. And then in the other acts, you'll see the other turning points happen. In the first episode of Amphibia, you see it happening in like trusting Spray, capturing the big bug, Hop Pop letting her live with them, and like etc. etc. So Act 2. So the rising action into midpoint into crisis. So it's basically the meat and potatoes of your story. It's about raising the stakes of the hero's journey, and by the midpoint, the protagonist should be fully immersed into the journey. So while I was like writing this all up, I like somehow I felt like Shrek was like the best example. I don't know, like I had my mind had like the best, I don't know, like I thought it was the best idea ever. So a lot of my examples are Shrek. So Act 1 ends on Shrek deciding to leave his swamp, like wanting to get his swamp back. He leaves the swamp, goes to the Duloc, yeah. And then Act 2 would be his journey, like, until Fiona leaves with Lord Farquaad. So it kind of starts with him, like, the midpoint would be rescuing, like, Fiona, like, after Farquaad says, oh, you're gonna save her, blah, blah, blah. And so he's fully committed to get, like, to his journey to get his swamp back. So Act 2 ends with another turning point, which makes it seem like the protagonist will fail in some sort of way. So Shrek and Fiona are fighting. They think they hate each other. Fiona goes with Farquaad. Shrek thinks he'll never find love, kind of thing. That would be that, like, he's at his, like, lowest. He's like, dang, I got my swamp back, but at what cost? You know? So Act 3 begins with the climax, usually. It's, like, leading up to that climactic confrontation. So that's when, like, Donkey, like, confronts Shrek and, like, explains everything, and, like, Shrek is sad and is like, swamp and blah blah blah, and then eventually leads him planning to rescue Fiona. After failing at the end of Act 2, the hero will probably turn around and gain new confidence, thus leading to the climax. Seen here, he's like, oh, I'm all sad. She doesn't love me. I'm all alone again. I'm grumpy. And then Donkey's like, no, you don't understand, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, oh, now I gotta go save her. So then the climax, you know, the dragon, the kiss, whatever. It's, you know, the point of no return. It's an all or nothing situation. You know, Shrek is putting everything on the line, to get Fiona back. After resolving the climax, the story will de-escalate, which is the denouement, which is like, you know, Shrek and Fiona and all the fairy tale creatures go back to the swamp and they have that party, basically. So, like, there's, like, a new sense of, like, normalcy, but, you know, the character's life will never be the same, because now Shrek used to be grumpy and alone, and now he has Fiona and Donkey, and, you know, everyone's partying on his swamp, kind of thing. So here's another kind of act structure, or just a story structure. This is probably the most, like, well-known. It's, like, in every single, like, chosen one kind of story. You can see it in, like, The Lion King, like, Lord of the Rings, blah, blah, blah. But obviously, as you see, there are 3 parts to it. And so this is basically, you know, the 3-act structure, but with, like, certain beats and story beats that have to be kind of hit for it to be a hero's journey. And they don't have to include all of these. Like, sometimes, like, stories will take out, like, crossing the threshold, or, like, sometimes they don't have a mentor, or, you know, stuff like that. We can see this in Shrek. Here we go. So, Shrek's ordinary world would be him being the big scary guy alone in his swamp. The call to adventure would be the fairy tale creatures, I don't know, going on his property, and then him being, I don't, just leave, and then they're like, well, we can't, and then, you know, I don't know. In the musical, there's a whole song where they beg, so this would be the refusal of the call, and then, he would go, and then meeting the mentor. There's technically not a mentor in Shrek, but you could say him meeting either not Donkey, but maybe Farquaad, because he, like, the mentor could be someone giving the quest crossing the threshold. I don't know, you get the gist. Let's keep going. So there's other types of story structures, such as like the Dean Koontz classic story structure, who like it's kind of like in medias res, where it's like you plunge your character immediately into trouble as soon as the story starts. Everything your character does is to get out of trouble, but it just makes it worse. The situation appears hopeless, but finally your character succeeds or fails against all odds. So this can be just like the whole kind of like Act 1 to Act 3 kind of idea, or you can break that down into like this would be Act 1, then you do another set of this for Act 2, and then you go on to Act 3 with this as well. In medias res is when you literally like begin, you like cut out all exposition and you're straight into the story immediately. Here is Mike Rionda, the director of the Mitchell versus the Machines. This is what he does for his stories, and this is like he repeats this over and over in the story. So the character wants something and or has a certain point of view or perspective. They act on what they want. They see another way or perspective, and they have like a realization, and then they change their goal or point of view. So like if you look at like the Mitchells versus the Machines, if you haven't seen it yet, which you should, it's really good. You like think of like this being Katie, and like, she just wants to leave. They try to leave. I guess, I don't know. But yeah. So you can layer this one as well. Like you can have one character want something, another character want something and have a point of view, like in Mitchell's versus the Machines, and then have those two kinds of perspectives, like and stories kind of bounce off each other and counteract. So as I was saying, subplots. So in the story class, the TV writing class I'm taking, she taught us about ABC plot, which is like how you layer your story elements and your plot elements. So A would be your main story, and it takes up most of the time. So like Anne and Sprig and Polly discover a hidden basement in the house and uncover family secrets. In like Criminal Minds, it would be the crime solving. So B would be like the subplot that takes up less time, but like is still kind of present. So like in the background. So like Hop Hop tries to buy new glue but can't pick a type, and then he gets stuck with a bunch of glue. Like it's not necessarily interacting with the A plot, but it can, as it does at the end. In Criminal Minds, it would be like the stupid drama, like usually like the love life of the team, and like usually they bring it up like at the beginning and then like in the middle of the episode, like in one scene, and then they'll bring it up and like resolve it at the end. C is less common, but like it takes up just like little page space. It can be like little office drama. It can be like someone stole my sandwich in the fridge, and then at the end of the episode someone confronts them. I don't know. It depends on if you have like a more ensemble piece of like writing and or like a story, like if you have like a whole, say you're covering a whole family and the A plot could be about the daughter, the B plot can be about the mom, the C plot can be about like the dad or something. But usually a lot of shows do like A and B plot. But with movies, they usually focus on just more of an A plot, because a B plot in a movie, like it could work. Like a B plot in a movie would be more like, oh, you see, so like A would be the hero's journey, B would be cutting to like the villain and like seeing what they're doing, I guess. But usually like this is more for TV, I guess. So here's a little bit outlining, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about beats as I have before. So I suck at outlining, but I know a lot of people use beat sheets as outlining. I haven't personally yet, but this means that like a beat is like a moment that's really important in your story. Usually kind of like a turning point. It's just like the puzzle pieces, and like say like each beat is like a Lincoln log, and you're just stacking them and building on top of each other until you make your Lincoln log house. So like a lot of people like to take like post-it notes or just like bullet points and use the Save the Cat beat sheet, which is like, here's your opening image and your theme, and like this is a setup, so it's like what your universe is, these characters, where they are, blah, blah, blah. And then the catalyst would be your inciting incident. The debate, I'm guessing, is like, oh, like, what are we gonna do, blah, blah, blah. And then breaks into Act 2, so this would be happening at the same time as, like, so this is, the A story, I'm guessing. But I'm guessing this would introduce the B story, perhaps. This is for plotting your novel, so it's a little bit different. But the fun and games would be like your journey. It would be like the meat and potatoes until you get to your midpoint. And then the bad guy closes in. Think so. Like Shrek does a little bit differently because they introduced Farquaad before. I think he does, yeah. So like they introduced Farquaad before Shrek meets Farquaad. So like you would, I guess that would be kind of like the B story, and then here Shrek is going to Duloc, going to like doing the fight, blah blah blah, and the midpoint would be him accepting that journey and going, you know, to rescue Fiona, and then the bad guy closing in would be like, I guess it either could be the dragon or Farquaad. All is lost. Well, yeah, because like bad guys closes in, Farquaad takes her. And then all is lost is like, you know, him at his breaking point. He's sad, blah blah blah. Gathering a team, you know, executing plan, higher tower surprise, the big dragon, dig deep down, you know, the big speech, and then execution of new plan, and then the end, basically. And of course, these can take different lengths. You know, really just follow the tempo, whatever you feel like really works for your story. Because, like, you're not going to get these exact neat numbers sometimes that you want. Like, a lot of, like, writers and scriptwriters will, like, focus on, like, oh, you need to do this by this page and blah, blah, blah. But it doesn't really matter as long as the story's good. You don't want to really limit yourself. It's just, like, nice to know, you know, like, the approximates, blah, 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 and what you could do if you wanted to. So there's also another way of outlining is Screenplay Sequences, which is what I've kind of done in the past a little bit. So it's just, like, taking the general idea, like, of each, like, scene and making a little movie. They do like 7, which are like about like 10 to 15 minutes long. So they're considered mini movies because each scene has like a beginning, middle, and end, and then a climax at the ending. Climax will bring character closer or farther away from the goal. So the climax would be that turning point. Here's an example of one. So like here's sequence B, where it goes like, here's Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 in that sequence. But it's just like, they give a little sentence about it. I've kind of done something like this. Sometimes what I do is I just write out just like the beats of it and not really think about like the structure of it, but I just like go with like, here's what they're gonna do, here's what they're gonna do, how is that gonna end, kind of thing. So now we're gonna go into formatting. So formatting is pretty important to script writing because it's what makes, formatting is what makes it a script. And it's important because you have to make it clear. It's for clarity. It's hard to write, like, it's hard to read a script when the formatting is bad. Like, even if, like, the story's good, it can be difficult because you don't really know, like, the vision of this person. Like, is that intentional? What does this mean? Blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of, like, software and programs that help with formatting. Here are some free ones. Personally, I've used Highland, too. That's the only one I've used out of all these. This one is pretty good. It's for, like, Mac, I think, but you can get on, like, iPhone, I think, and iPad, maybe. I heard that Trebly is really good. And Fade In has, like, a demo version. That's free, but a lot of these will, like, require you to have, like, a, like, watermark on your, script once you download it or, like, print it out and stuff. So, I don't think Trebly does that, or Highland, too, so. For paid ones, like, there's Celtext, or Celtext, yeah. I've used it before. It was alright, but it's kind of expensive. I have not used Final Draft 10, but I probably should buy it at some point. But it's like the industry standard, like everyone uses it. I think we're on 11 now, but I'm stuck on thinking about 10, I guess. Then there's Movie Magic Screenwriter, which is like almost like Final Draft 10. Haven't used it, but I've heard like a lot of people in the industry use it as well. I use Scriven. I've never known how to say it. I think it's Scrivener. I call it Scrivenger, but there's no G in it. It's what I use. It's like $45 for PC and then $40 for Mac. I have the Mac version, and I like it. It's not bad. Sometimes it'll like freak out and be weird. But I feel like every Wednesday I go through this. This never pops up any other time, but I still have not, gotten this off of my thing. It's whatever. Anyways, back to it. I like Scrivener. It's nice. I guess I can show it. Where is it? Here it is. Here's what I'm working on now. It, auto, like, has all of them do, they auto. Sometimes, when I'm trying to do parentheticals, or, like, I do, like, dialogue stuff, it just, like, does weird stuff. But I do like that I have spaces for notes, which I've been doing, like, because I'm using this as my homework for my one class, I have a lot of notes, and so it's nice to have notes and put research, and it's not just for scripts, you can use it for other stuff, but I only use it for scripts, so, let me go back to present. So, the basics. I'm not going to read all this, because it's just a bunch of numbers, and a lot of this, they do for you. So, like, always use Courier 12-point font. It's industry standard, and it's essential to pacing, scripts, and such. These are the correct kind of margins. And, like, it only should be, like, 55 lines per page. Here's the indentation rules. I'm not going to say them. And page numbers should be, like, on the right, upper right and stuff. And each page of a script should equal to a minute of screen time. So this is why we do all this mess, to keep it on pace. So, like, if I wrote a 60-page script, that's an hour, basically. 30 pages, 30 minutes. So scripts consist of 3 parts, basically. So a slug line, which is the scene headings, but I'll call them slug lines. I don't know. Some people call them that, some people don't. There's action lines, and then there's dialogue. So slug lines, also known as scene headings, indicate the location and time of the setting. It's always in caps. They should be simple. There shouldn't be any, like, describing of the location, so you shouldn't say, oh, it was a sunny playground. Just say playground. The only kind of description you need is, like, kind of, like, either where it is, or, like, whose room it is, or, you know, like, who owns this place, or, like, a name of the place. But nothing more than that. So, like, you could say, like, East Side Playground, but you could not say, like, wet, soggy, gross playground. Or if you are, like, distinguishing between like a nice playground versus a gross playground, you could put gross playground in there. But usually this is how they're formatted. EXT means exterior, so that means the scene is outside, and INT means interior, indicating the scene is inside. And if they happen, like, in both inside and outside, like, say, a vehicle, you can put both. So this is for not just to set up the scene, but also to help whoever is doing location, whoever is doing setting, to break up the scenes, indicate where they are. So yeah. You can also use same time, or continuous in the scene heading to transition to a scene that takes place either in the same time or right into the, like, the next, like, scene, or, like, next moment. So, like, here, it's, like, interior bedroom day, Amanda gets out of the kitchen and walks in. Interior kitchen continuous. That's how it would work. Or you could just put kitchen continuous. That's how I would probably do it. You can also do later to indicate, like, a passage of time, so, like, interior dining room later, or simply later. So here's some special notations that you can do. So, like, if you're doing a dream sequence, you can just put, like, a parentheses around it, to indicate a time period or specific date. You can put it, like, next to it. If you want the audience to see 1945 on the screen, you'll need to use a super, which is done differently, and formatted differently. Here's some more special notations. So if you want to do, like, a special note, so, like, if you want it to be black and white, put black and white. If you're jumping around, like, geographically, you can put it here, like Paris. If a location doesn't change, but the time does, just put moments later. Here's, like, a example. So, like, here's your slug line, but here's, like, a mini slug, like, where it's like they rush into the ensuite, where sometimes I've heard some teachers don't like this, but I think as long as it flows well enough, don't do it all the time, because sometimes it just feels cheesy. Like, in the bedroom, Michael pulls a face at the sound of retching. So if there's, like, fast movement, if you're just, like, walking from place to place, just, like, do this. You don't have to put all, like, interior bedroom day. You know, they're just going into the next room, basically. A bad example of secondary headings would be, like, exterior beach day, Marion runs through the waves, and then library, Marion reads a book. There's no indication where that library is, what time of, like, it's too disconnected from each other. You kind of have to keep it, like, if you're going to do a secondary heading, a mini slug, you need to keep it, you know, like, you know, you're going from bedroom to kitchen to something like that. Not, like, beach to library. You need to have connection to that. So, like, a secondary heading can also help, like, clarify action scenes. So you can see, like, here they have, like, the sky and, like, above the Mediterranean, and then, like, then we jump into the cockpit, and then we jump, like, to outside just above the water. So there are other special headings such as montages, series of shots, and like the insert, the flashback, and dreams, basically. They all have the same formatting. So like if you want to do like a flashback or like a montage, you would do it like, you would put what it's about, like Susie and Bill having fun together. And then you have what the shots would be, or like what the short little clips would be. So it'd be like them running along the beach. They bicycle through a park. Bill buys Susie ice cream. And then end the montage. You want to make sure you end it. With a series of shots, I've seen like sometimes you do like A, B, C, or like 1, 2, 3, and the difference between a montage and a series of shots would be that like a montage is something that takes over a long period of time and like indicates that time has passed, while like a series of shots is a quick shots and like camera movements to like just make it more dramatic. Like say you're like cutting to someone's face and then cutting to someone's face gasping, and then you're cutting to a gun on the floor, like stuff like that. See, like here we have like John lifts a handgun, John strides across the sidewalk. These are all happening in the same moment, in the same time, and not like this where it's like a long period. Like usually it indicates like an afternoon of stuff happening. So action lines, they don't treat it like prose, and like a script isn't like a novel. So you aren't going to write everything. You don't want to like write characters' inner monologues and go all crazy. So you should be describing movement, location, characters, and everything that the audience can see on the screen that's relevant to the story. So avoid any non-visual emotions. So try to say, John bangs his fist in anger, rather than John is angry at his sister. Always add, like, if you're gonna try to indicate emotion and talk about it, always add a kind of action with it. Something that shows how your character gets angry. It's always written in present tense. It's not passive, such as like is sitting or is reading, and you don't want it in past tense either. So always make sure you do it in present tense. Sometimes I slip up and do it in past tense. So you want John sits down on the chair and watches a dog jump in the air. Horses burst out of the gate and into the field. You want to be economic with your word choice, because you only have so many pages and so many lines. But don't stifle or limit yourself on creativity and adding voice to your action lines. Just choose your words carefully. Like, you want to strive for like paragraphs of a max of 4 lines. Big blocks of text are usually like a no-no. Also use shorter paragraphs to emphasize like certain action and emotions. I like to kind of do mine. Let me see. I don't know if there's any good examples in this, but like usually how I do mine is like based on either a series of like actions that are like related to each other, or if like a new character does something new, like something different. This one doesn't really do it as well because I have a lot of dialogue and like voiceover that breaks up everything. You can also emphasize, and let me present again. You can capitalize, emphasize, or underline, italicize certain words to add like emphasis. Like major props are often mentioned in all caps, or like an emotion might be emphasized with like an underlining. Whenever there's like an explosion, I always go, bam! There, Miles jumps from Miles is pushed back or from the blast, or I don't know. instead of just saying there's an explosion, because like you want that emphasis on like how impactful it is. So like the flash drive is highlighted because that's important. Him jumping is like a big, thing. Also, when introducing a character for the first time, you don't want to do it all the way through the script, just the first time they appear on the screen and in your script, capitalize their whole name. And don't be afraid to describe some details about your characters when first introducing, such as like age, overall like vibe of the character. I don't do like a big, description usually. Usually I go like age, so like 12 years old, slimy, get serious for its age. Like, it's just like a little bit. If like you have a character that's like another animal, please say they're another animal. Or like what their species is. You want to indicate their age, their gender, blah, blah, blah. Things that wouldn't be easy to explain within the script otherwise. So like this, like 17 and all-American teenagers stretch down the hallway, flaunts her new pink purse from Claire's. So like even like in the description here, you don't want to put everything about them, but like because you want to add a lot of their character, a lot about them in their like dialogue, their descriptions or actions and stuff. So there are 2 ways to describe a scene. So here is just like a simple one where they describe a conference room with like just like a TV that sits in the corner. But you can be more unique with like saying like how like if there's a leather seat, how many people are in the room, blah blah blah. In order to get as much as possible in like terms of characterization, ask yourself how the character is acting, and like try to make actions like a character thing by making it more specific. Charlie slithers in, instead of just saying Charlie walks in. Mandy limps in on her 3rd try, kicks the door shut. And you want to steer clear of repetition. If location is already mentioned in the heading, you don't have to introduce it in the action lines right after. This kind of goes on my point of like describing the scene. In the Breaking Bad pilot script, they call Walter White's house the White House in the Slug Line. And then in the action line say, no presidents have ever lived here. It's a very like poignant way of like describing the setting without just pointing out that this place is run down, it's not fancy, blah, blah, blah. Like, that Walter White is not an important person at this point in his life. Like, you can add that kind of stuff in your script, and it makes it way more interesting. And it really helps the director, whoever is, like, reading the script and creating the vision for it, it helps them a lot. You can also do special notes where, like, in your action lines, where you can, like, say, like, maybe a style that's, like, really important. So, like, if the scene is shot in black and white and that's really important to the story, then add that in. So, dialogue, it consists of 3 things. The character cue, the actor's directions, the character's speech. The character's name is always in caps above the dialogue and directions. If you follow a character as they age, refer to them as, like, refer to their younger selves as, like, young Steven, and then their present adult selves as just Steven. If, say, your character is, like, mysterious or doesn't have a name at the beginning, but then they do get a name, at some point in the script, usually you start with, like, say, like, the man, and then you change it once you know their name. Or, well, I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe honestly, what I would do is I would always keep, because you want your actors to know when they're speaking. So maybe I wouldn't do the man. I would always keep the name, but the character just wouldn't know the name. Like the other characters wouldn't. It would just be for the actors and directors. So parenthetical direction, which is like the actors' directions, it usually suggests subtext or attitude of the character, or like who they're talking to, stuff like that. And usually some moderation, because sometimes if you see it like a billion times, like like you don't want it for every single piece of dialogue, because you want your actors to have their time to, you know, to act. You don't want to direct them too much, and the director's going to change stuff anyways. So sometimes you can put action in it. So like, as I said, like John turns to Tiffany, like, that makes sense. Or if like, you can say on a call. If a character is speaking in a foreign language, you can put what language they're speaking in the parenthetical and then write the dialogue in English. This depends on how much they're speaking it. And also, who you're selling the script to, or who the original like cast is. So like if you're selling a script to like an English director, they want to know what these characters are saying. So just say that what they, you know, just say in Russian subtext or subtitles, and then put, you know, what they're saying in English. Here are some special parentheticals. So if you have like soliloquies, you'd put like an aside or like to self. If they're continuing what they're saying, you can put like continuing or next to a name, just like the shortened version of it. I do this all the time. So like if they're doing like an action in between two, like what they're saying, you would put continuing because they're doing the action and then continuing to speak. If they're off screen, you want to put OS next to their name, and off screen means that they're in another room. They're just not on the camera. Maybe they're on the phone, like they're like speaking through the phone. For a voiceover, that would be narration. It would not be, like I wouldn't say it would be for TV. Like if someone's speaking on the TV in a scene, only for if there's overhead narration. And you want to put that next to the name. So I have like examples here. Wait. And let me see. So I have examples here of it. So in this one, Harriet speaks a lot in like voiceover. But then here, where is it? Her sister is off screen. And they're like, so like her door is closed and they're yelling at each other in the hallway. So they're off screen speaking, but you can still hear them. So overlapping speech. So if, like, you can write in the character cue both of the names of the character speaking, like Joe and Sam, or indicate in the parentheticals that someone is overlapping another character. Or you can place two lines of dialogue next to each other, which I don't know how to do that, but I've seen it done in some scripts where you like put two sets of like dialogue next to each other. I have no idea how to do that. But here's an example of like how you would do like if they're speaking another language. Here's some other like parenthetical and like showing how to do it. So I went through it all. I didn't think I would. Well, obviously I was going to, but I did it pretty quick. Hopefully I didn't speak too much, but this is the last class before the big hiatus. How big? I don't know. Hopefully I'll be able to start in June again. It would be nice to. It really depends on what's happening in my life. But I did want to do homework. But I just, it's nothing serious. I just think I want you guys to write. Please, please, please write anything, something. While we're not doing this class, just like, even if it's like nothing you show to someone or you think it's stupid or, it's just like for yourself. I don't know. Just write something. And if you write a script, maybe you can send it to me and I can give notes and go over it, during class once the hiatus is over in June. That's up to you. If you just want me to give notes and that's it, like, we don't have to like blast it to the world. But yeah, like, if you ever have a script, I'm always happy to, look over it, read over it, give some notes and stuff. I do it for like a bunch of other people. all the time. So anyone who comes to the class, obviously I'm willing to do it. I know they've done their homework, and hopefully that they've formatted everything correctly. But yeah, any questions? Anything? Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming to the class. I don't know if I'll stream at all besides doing this class, like while I'm not doing it. I was thinking of I don't know. I don't want to become the person that does video game streams, but I don't know. Maybe I will. But doing it has been really fun, and starting this class really helped me get back into writing. And, and the people that always come, does writing lyrics have some basic story structure? Yeah, I guess. I kind of suck at writing songs, even though I always try to, but usually, depending on the song, there is, usually a basic structure sometimes. The biggest example would be, I don't know, Taylor Swift's Love Story. Or, not Love Story, is it? Yeah. Yeah, Love Story would be one. Usually, a lot of country songs have, story structure. Sometimes R&B songs do. But a lot of songs are more freeform, like poetry, and just, usually don't have, a totally strict, climax to it. But, if you're composing something, obviously there is a climax or something, yeah. Usually, a song builds on itself. I think, you could compare the bridge to I don't know, going fast. Speedrunning, wait. To the kind of, Dark Night of the Soul, or whatever they call it. The turning point where it's, they're all sad and stuff. I don't know. It's, the slow kind of stuff. And then it goes back into, I don't know, I'm thinking of the songs that I listen to. And, usually, in, a Paramore song, there's, the song, Misery Business would be a good one. And it would be, you have, your verse, your pre-chorus, your chorus, whatever, your second verse, and then you have your another chorus, and then your bridge, and then there's the bridge, and then it builds up into some sort of louder version of the chorus, I guess. But yeah, I guess song could. I've always wanted to learn how to write songs. I've written poetry in the past, but not poetry that could be turned into songs. I don't know. Songwriting's hard. I'm musically inclined, I guess, but not really at the same time. But yeah. Any other questions? Any other things? We still have time, I guess. I don't know if you guys have time. I don't know what I'm going to do after this class, because I'm not doing my paper. I might play League of Legends more and die more, and not do any of my homework. I have to write, well, I don't have to. I'm deciding to write 2 scripts by June 7th. I think it's the 7th or the 11th. I don't know. And so it'd be 2 30-minute ones. I don't know if I want to, but I am, because I want to get into at least a fellowship, writing like mentorship something. I don't know. I need to. But yeah. I don't really have anything else to talk about. If y'all don't have any questions, thank you. Thank you for being awesome in the chat all the time, and like, you guys are awesome. Even if the class is small, like, I want it to be like super crazy and like a bunch of people. But yeah, thank you so much. Hopefully I'll be back soon. Hopefully I don't die from finals. Thank you. And I shall end it here. You guys are amazing. Thank you.